How's it going, everybody? This is Alex Caceres, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
What up, Will?
What up?
How's it going today, man?
It's chilly. It's cold.
Oh, dude. Same
I'm
over here.
sleepy.
Your boy's got a little cowboy blanket. You know what I mean? Cowboy's blanket right here, ready to go. But
Nice.
Welcome, everybody, to Story of the Fight podcast, where we talk all things mixed martial arts. Sometimes we just talk about life, whatever, is in our head.
It's rare.
But yes, if this is your first time joining us, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It goes a long way. If you don't like watching us, because we both have faces that are perfect for radio, you can also listen on Spotify, Breaker, Podcast, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. And you can also find us on social media.
Yeah, it's at Story of the Fight on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, Twitch, Vero, everywhere. StoryoftheFight.com.
Yeah, and that also lets you know where you could find us. Hey, a couple things going on today, Will.
Are they?
Yeah, so right now the World Cup's going on. France and Argentina currently tied in extra time 2-2. Seems like the extra time just ended right now. And also today is my wife and my anniversary today.
And here you are.
Dude, you know what? I'm dedicated. You know what I mean? My wife's like, can we celebrate? I said, no, I got to talk about mixed martial arts.
We got to talk about the whirlwind that was UFC Vegas 66.
Yeah.
It's like,
she's like, I understand.
Hard.
I understand. But yeah, man, so a lot going on today.
Like, after watching that whole card, you got to talk about it.
Exactly. But hey, we can go and get started if you want to.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's get right into it. We had the main event, Jared Cannonier versus Sean Strickland. I believe Cannonier coming in ranked number 3 in the division. Strickland coming in number 7.
Yeah, they dropped him quite a bit, huh? After he got knocked out.
Yeah, they're like, you know what?
We used your ranking.
Yeah. Alex Maheshate knocked him back all the way to number 7.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, hey, yeah, we definitely leveraged you to get a title shot. Go back down to 7 now.
For sure.
Damn.
But hey, for me, this was like a classic Sean Strickland fight. He doesn't have a very wide stance, which kind of helped him out, because he was able to take a step back with a lot of Jared Cannonier's kicks, and avoid some of those calf kicks. But very efficient, he picks his shots when he wants to throw with a lot of power or expend a lot of energy, and it's not very often.
It's not very often. Yeah, this was like a textbook Sean Strickland fight. It was also a textbook Jared Cannonier fight, where like you just want that extra step, like right at the end. It's like, don't stop. And it's like, damn it. And then it's like he goes and you're like, oh, that's the setup. But it's like, oh wait, no, that was the attack. Okay. And then it's just all set up and then never a follow through. He did eventually towards the end of the fight. I thought it was an entertaining fight. It was a cool stylistic matchup. I thought Cannonier was going to have much more success getting around the framing guard of Sean Strickland. And the whole fight, he kind of had the whole first round he fought southpaw, which was like open stance, right? And it took away his outside leg kick because it basically made the outside leg kick come off his lead leg instead of his rear leg. And I was like, man, this is like when you watch Sean Strickland fight, he keeps his feet so close together and he crosses his feet so much. Like any boxing coach would be like, dude, this guy's terrible.
But it's weird because when he does get hit, he's rarely caught off balance, it seems like.
Well, so that second round, Cannonier comes out orthodox, which is where he can throw that outside leg kick. It also sets up the lead left hook that Maheshate showed, like, hey, if you want to get around his framing, the left hook is what you throw. You don't throw overhands because then he can lean back and frame out and see it a mile away. The left hook is much shorter, right? So I was like, cool, this is where you need to fight Strickland. You got to be in the orthodox stance. And then he started blasting that leg kick. And I was like, perfect. He keeps landing it as Strickland's crossing his feet. And then Strickland was like, are we leg kicking? And then started checking him. He had some of the nastiest checks that I've seen in a long time. He checked like 3 or 4. It was like, dude, just stop throwing the leg kick. You're not setting it up anymore. Like, he knows it's coming. Like, I was very impressed by Strickland's ability to adapt to that leg kick, because the leg kick it seems like it's always there when you watch a Strickland fight, because his feet are so close together. He plants.
Yeah.
He's planted on both of them constantly. But
Yeah,
he did a good job defending against that.
Yeah, that was one of the things that was surprising. The other thing that was surprising is you'll see like Wonderboy Thompson, Conor McGregor with that wide like karate stance, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times those are the ones that you see get caught with the leg kicks a lot more because their legs so far out, right?
It's out there. Yeah.
Yeah. But with that karate stance, it seems like there's extra light on their feet and they're able to like step back really quick whenever there's any attack coming in forward. And Strickland with his legs like really narrow, his stance really narrow, he still has the ability to shuffle back. Instead of taking one big step back, he like shuffles back 2 or 3 times like really quickly. And he was able to avoid some Cannonier shots. And classic Strickland still in that like narrow stance, even when he shuffles back, he's able to counter with, like a 1-2. But yeah, like you said, it's just textbook fight from Strickland, Cannonier.
There was.
Did you feel like Cannonier definitely did enough?
I didn't know who the hell. At round 3, I was like, I'm done even trying to score this fight. It doesn't make. It's like, no matter who they decide, it's going to be fine for me because it was so even. And then from that point, the 4th and 5th, I was like, cool. It was an interesting matchup. It was like the whole time I was watching it was, I think what I was thinking at least was, is Cannonier, before time runs out, is he gonna figure out Strickland and figure out how to get around this guard? He kind of did at the end there. He started landing some shots in the 5th round. I wasn't mad at the decision either way, to be honest. Funny scorecards though. That shows you how close it is. I saw some people saying that, like, how does one judge give it 49-46 to Strickland and the other judge gives it 49-46 to Cannonier? It's like, because it was fucking close. There was most of the rounds, there was really no, in my opinion, there was no, like, he definitely won that round. There was no decisive
I think
rounds.
the pressure in the 4th and the 5th from Cannonier, because Strickland was stopping a lot of Cannonier's forward movement. Like, he'd shuffle back, hit him with the jab, and then Cannonier would kind of just stop in his tracks and reset, right? In the 4th and 5th round, he would eat a jab and then string some punches together. He'd have Strickland shuffle back up against the fence, and then he'd be able to put a couple hooks together, a hook and a right together or something that would end up landing on Strickland. So I felt like he separated himself a little bit more in the later rounds. But the first rounds were definitely really, really close. Yeah,
it's funny because not one round was unanimous for all 3 judges. They didn't agree on one round. And this honestly, I was Sam's up in town. We were watching it, and I was like, honestly, dude,
shout out Sam.
Yeah, shout out Sam. I was like, why? It kind of sucks for me, at least, that there has to be a 10-8 round for a draw to happen. Because, like, if they said this was a draw, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. It didn't really seem like one of the guys definitely won. But there can't be a draw unless there's a 10-8 round, which kind of sucks in my opinion. I feel like draws aren't the worst thing in the world. I get it.
Sometimes especially with a fight like this.
Yeah. Some people are disappointed at the end of the night when it ends in a draw. They want to see a winner. But, like, I don't really care, to be honest. I just want to see, like, the truest, like, outcome from the fight. And if that's a draw, then that's a draw,
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I
does it mean that I want to watch it again?
This fight?
No, I don't want to watch this again. If it ended in a draw, would I want to see a rematch? Not really. If
it ended in a draw, I mean, you'd say, hey, Cannonier just stays at number 3, Strickland stays at number 7, but we just don't match him up again.
Yeah, exactly. Because then, the middleweight division's so deep, they have plenty of guys they can fight.
Yeah. All right, man. I really don't have much else on that fight. This is probably a main event most recently that we don't spend 15 to 20 minutes talking about because there's so much going on.
I do want to give a shout out to Paul Felder. Again, his post-fight interviews are insanely good. He's like asking questions about the fight. He's like, I saw you switch to the leg kick in the 2nd round. Was that like a game plan or is that something you saw in the fight? And Cannonier's like, oh no, that was like, we had a few plans to deal with his jab and his framing. And like, that was the only one that worked. And he's like, we had a few other ones. Those didn't work. Leg kicks worked for a while. Went with that plan. And it's like, that's what I want to hear in a post-fight interview. Not, how did it feel to win? Like, I want to hear about like the actual fight. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I love, I mean, it's a small things, right? But like any time that a fighter asks for mic time, I can't think of a time that Felder denied him.
I know.
Like he'll go back and
I
he'll
need this.
yeah, he'll hold the mic up. And like I think it was like with Manel Cop, he's holding it up and then he's like slowly, and then he taps on his back, like, okay, dude. But
that's it.
where DC or somebody else would have been like, sorry, dude, producers tell me I gotta walk away, man. All out of time.
I'm a company man. Hey, did you watch the whole card with commentary? Like all the fights with commentary?
Most of them. So last night, we're taking the kids to a Christmas at the Star. And it's like the whole Santa thing. We've done it for 6 years in a row now. So your boy here was watching some fights with no commentary while we were on the road on the way over there.
Okay, because there was a few fights. The Bruce Leroy fight was one of them. There was a few fights where like there was so much dead air that I was like, what? I thought there was something wrong with the audio. And then like Brandon Fitzgerald would say something and like no one's responding. And it was just quiet for like another 45 seconds. And I was like, are their mics not working? Like what's going on? It was really weird.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was the Bruce Leroy fight where like the first minute there was no talking.
Interesting.
Really weird.
It's like you're sitting in the apex, just silence.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, man.
Awesome.
We can move on. We can move on to the next one. We had Tsarukyan versus Ismagulov.
Yeah.
By the way,
another
your
fight.
boy here, because I set up the slides, right?
Yeah.
And I'm always going in there. Today was one of the most challenging days with the names. Because I usually just go through and I type them out. Because for the most part, I got most of the spelling down, even some of the hard ones, because I see it so much. And today, man, your boy was challenged.
There's some doozies.
Most definitely was. But yeah, Tsarukyan versus Ismagulov. What'd you get on this fight?
This is another one where I'm tired of seeing these guys, almost these guys specifically, keep having to fight each other. Like, why are these the guys that are fighting each other in this division? It's so ridiculous at this point that no one's taking these fights and they have to fight each other. There's a few guys like Tsarukyan, Ismagulov, Gamrot for a while was one of them. Fiziev was one of them for a while. Like all these guys these guys should not be fighting each other. Definitely not.
Letting them rise together.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I enjoyed it. This was I loved this fight. It was so cool. Just
Tsarukyan.
Yeah, his different attacks, dude. Like he's so well versed. It's crazy.
And the thing is that you kind of have an idea of what he wants to do, but like to your point right now, what's his entry going to be like?
Yeah. And is it a reaction takedown? Is it a proactive takedown? Like he's like dropping over shots, and Ismagulov's hands looked so goddamn good, but Tsarukyan was still able to drop underneath him like numerous times to go to the single leg. He got the single leg one time, he lifts it up, gets the trip. He did it again with an inside trip later. He's like shooting double legs. He's on the fence trying to jump the back, like dragging people down, or dragging him down after you get a hook in. Like so many different attacks to get him down, just constantly having him defend. And it's like you said, like what he wants to do, but then sometimes he'll go out there against like Joel Alvarez and he just elbows his brain open and then murders him for like 2 minutes. And you're like, whoa.
He just seems so strong, man. And I know a lot of these guys are fit. They're all strong. I get it. But like Tsarukyan seems different level. Like when he grips his hands together and he has his arms around your waist, because Ismagulov didn't necessarily seem lost in the clinch. Like there's this one where
he knew what he's doing.
Tsarukyan tries to hit the hip toss, and Ismagulov actually ends up landing on top of Tsarukyan straight into mount.
And then he's just like, nah.
Yeah. It's like 3 seconds, 4 seconds later, like Tsarukyan's like, okay, my time to work. He like throws one shot, postures up, whoop, and he's like,
sweeps him.
Just sweeps him right away. But dude, he just seems so strong, man.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where like if he was a lesser fighter, Ismagulov would have ran away with this one because his defense for the first like 9 minutes, grappling wise, was so good. But it's like you're constantly getting dropped to your knees and have to get back up, drop to your knees, get back up. And like he did that, but eventually, dude, your legs are going to be toast. You just keep getting dragged down and having to not just get up, but get up while someone else is pushing on you. You have to push through them to get up. You're going to get gassed. And the moments where the fight kind of opened up at a distance, Ismagulov was lighting him up. His hands looked so good. He was throwing that 1-2, and I was like, "Oh,
fast."
I was like, Tsarukyan might have to grapple in this fight, and then he did, and he just, I mean, he looked so good. Both of them, I think, both of their stocks go up. It was such a fun like chess match,
Yeah. So with Tsarukyan, he's ranked 9th, right? Ahead of him, you have RDA, Gamrot, which he already fought, Fiziev, Michael Chandler, Beneil Dariush. Who you pin him up against next?
Yeah, I don't know, man. They're talking about saving Michael Chandler to fight Connor. Connor's finally out of the rankings. Yeah, I don't know. I think like Beneil just beat Gamrot, right? So he deserves to fight up. They also took a title fight away from him. I think
it's tough, right, with this one?
Yeah, I think you could do Gaethje or Fiziev or Chandler, or maybe even Dustin. I don't know. It's like these guys have to fight down. Gaethje's talking about already how he matches up against Islam for a title fight, and it's like, what? You have to fight people to get title shots. You can't just you're not Connor. They're not going to give you a title shot.
Did they finally schedule him this division? Who?
Gaethje?
I haven't seen it.
No, there was rumors about it, and it's like, dude, if you're turning down fights and you're inactive, not because you're injured, like you got to start dropping the rankings. I'm tired of people holding onto their ranking. They're holding it hostage because they know Gaethje's at number 3. If he wins a fight, he gets a title shot. But it's like, dude, you don't get to do that.
Well, the tough part is that in a way they're almost getting rewarded.
Yeah, and some of them, it depends if the UFC likes you or not. Some people, they're like, oh, you're not going to fight? Cool. Kick your ass to the curb. You're dropped down to number 10 now. And then some people, it's like, I mean, who else is there? It's like, it changes based on who it is. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
How many times have you heard Dana say, like, yeah, look what happens when people wait for title shots. Never works out for them. But then for certain people, it happens all the time. Look at Jorge Masvidal. He's about to get a title shot, and dude hasn't won a fight in forever.
That's ridiculous. That one right there, you can get me all fired up right now. But so with Tsarukyan, there's still good fights. I definitely don't think he should fight a Jalen Turner. I don't think that he should fight, Renato Moicano. Like, he definitely needs to fight up.
I think it's someone like Chandler, honestly. Chandler hasn't had a win. It's a drop in the rankings for Chandler, which, like, he deserves at this point. But it's like the fact that Chandler is ranked number 5 and Tsarukyan is 9, it's like, that doesn't add up to me. Like, if we were gonna take away like all like history of fights and who they beat and stuff like that, and just look at like skill level, Tsarukyan's above Chandler. He's above him.
Yeah,
he's a better fighter than Chandler. Will he beat him? Who knows? But like, we need to start getting these guys up because, I mean, come on, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think the lightweight division specifically, more than most other divisions, there is that hold up. Well, I don't know. Welterweight's
a shit show
between Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns. I mean, hey, props to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson because he's down to fight as long as it's a good striker and a good match for him. He's like, I'll take it. At
this point, at Wonderboy's age, like, why are we giving him wrestlers? Let's just keep doing the strikers because that fight was so incredible.
Oh my God, so good. It was amazing.
Yeah.
All right, ready to move on?
Yeah.
Let's go. Amir Albazi versus Alessandro Costa.
Yeah.
Is Albazi the one that was in the hotel and they smuggled in? Was that him or was it?
No, that was Otman Azatar.
That's who it was. Okay. Last time watching this, I was like, is this the guy that smuggled in potatoes or? I couldn't remember.
Yeah. No, Amir Albazi's kind of a savage.
Kinda?
He's starting to put together some hands, man. He feinted the jab to throw the cross and then followed up with another jab and dropped him with that combo. And it was like feint 2, 1, and it was so fast. And he dropped him with that jab and then just sat in his guard for 3 minutes. It's like, let him up. He's hurt.
Dude, the thing with Albazi, and you've said it before, I know it's one of your favorite things, the work to the body.
Oh, yeah.
And you always say, like, that's when I can tell, like, somebody's striking level is when they're able to mix it up. And his ability, right, to not just headhunt, especially when he felt like he was getting Costa hurt and throwing combos to the body.
Keep working.
It was awesome, man. And he made a lot of really good adjustments, and sometimes it was mid-round. Like the picture here, I think this is where he was throwing that like little uppercut, right?
That uppercut was nasty, man.
Yeah, as Costa was coming in. And then, the ground and pound. Like you said, he kind of was set in his guard a little bit long, and I was like, you might be able to finish it a little bit sooner. Yeah, exactly.
At this point, So it's funny because we were like I said, I was watching it with Sam and I was showing him a bunch of ONE FC fights and stuff, and he was like stoked on how much the refs push the action. And he in this one, he's like, dude, I feel like ONE FC they would have stood him up. And I was like, well, yeah, probably. And at the end of the round, they were like, I hate how all the commentators are like, how did they score that round? They don't score control anymore. It's only damage. Like, did he do enough damage? And it's like, guys, we get it. You're all wrestlers. Like, and you're upset that wrestling doesn't win fights anymore. But like, they're like, yeah, but I mean, he hurt him, he dropped him, and then controlled him for like 3 minutes. But he did land some nasty ground and pound from the top. And it's like, no, he didn't. He sat in his guard. He landed like one elbow.
Yeah, I mean, the ground and pound at the end was nasty.
So in the next round, it was brutal. It was pretty brutal because he dropped him hard. And
I think this was Keith Peterson, right? He didn't take any nonsense last night. In my opinion, I felt like Keith Peterson did a really good job last night.
Yeah, there was a part where I don't know if it was this fight, but it was one of the fights where he was reffing, and they're like, no nonsense, Keith Peterson, and they talked over each other, and I think Brendan Fitzgerald was like, even in the holidays, and the way he said even in the holidays with somebody else talking over him, I thought Dominic Cruz called him like an alcoholic or something. I had to rewind it, and I was like, wait, what the hell? Was he just called him an alcoholic? I was like, damn. I know
during the broadcast, that'd be hilarious.
Smell like booze and cigarettes. Not my fight.
Yeah, but I thought he did a really good job of positioning himself during the fight without getting in the way and interfering in the fight, but then still being able to get in on finishes really quickly and preventing extra damage.
Yeah, I saw the same thing.
Yeah, props to Keith Peterson last night, man.
As far as stoppages go, honestly, the refs I thought did a fantastic job. Herb Dean had one that was. I think we'll talk about it next, but Herb Dean was really good last night. But yeah, Albazi, I love this division, dude. It's my favorite division. Like people used to say like, oh, they don't have any power, so no one cares. And it's like, dude got 2 knockdowns in this fight, like clean ones, like really clean ones. Like this guy's got power. You know, we got other people dropping other people multiple times. Maybe they're not flatlining people, but like a knockdown for me is just as cool, you know.
And for Albazi, you have your boy Matt Danger Schnell ahead of him.
Yeah,
you got Alex Perez, Mateus Nicolau, Brandon Royval. A lot of fun fights from there,
dude. This
is so Murderer's Row.
This division's so stacked, dude.
It is, man. I freaking love this division too.
I mean, you go down.
What do you say? Do you just give him Matt Schnell next?
Well, Matt Schnell just lost, right? I think Albazi. I think you need to fight up further. Like maybe Alex Perez. Nicolau just got a win, right? Is he who just beat Snell? Yeah. Maybe Alex Perez. I think that's who you go against.
Okay.
Kaikar Francis. He hasn't fought since
His loss Francis to Moreno.
Yeah, he's fighting Alex Perez. So
well, there you go. All right.
Never mind. So who knows? Idea. Brandon Royval's out with an injury, right? He like tore some ligament.
Did he?
I feel like I heard that he hurt himself. I think he had a fight canceled.
You know, with his fighting style, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and I mean, he had what was that fight where he like his shoulder dislocated, right? Remember, he got taken down. And was it Moreno? I think it was Moreno, where his shoulder popped out. He was supposed to fight Albazi. I forgot about that. He broke his wrist. They were supposed to fight on this card. Wow, I should have just looked at that. So maybe they rebooked that when his wrist is better. I don't know. I mean, because you look at the rankings, Albazi has to fight up. I think Schnell is not a big enough jump. Perez is booked. Nicolau is just got a win, so he shouldn't fight down. Brandon Royval broke his wrist, had to pull out of this fight. Kara France is fighting Perez. Pantoja deserves a title shot. That's the only guy. Pantoja is the only guy above him that isn't really like booked, but I don't know. I mean, they've screwed him over multiple times, so maybe they'll do it again.
Maybe they'll do it again, huh? Oh, yeah. Man. All right. Dude, this next fight, I'm really excited to talk about. So the person that gets the podcast going every single time, Mr. Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres himself, versus Juicy J, Julian Erosa.
Dude, when they announced this fight, I was like, this is a must-watch, cannot miss fight. The stylistic matchup is so good. Both these guys are great guys. I love both of them. And I was like, I just want Bruce Leroy to win. I really like Julian Erosa. It's hard to root against him. He's fighting maybe one of the only guys that he could get matched up against where I'd root against him. I was like, if he wins, I'll be happy for him. But I would really like to see Bruce Leroy get this done. Bruce Leroy, man, he has put it together lately.
He really has.
Outside of the loss against Sadiq Yusuff, which was very close, he put together Steven Peterson, Chase Hooper, Austin Springer, Kevin Kroom, Sungwoo Choi. Like, it's a good run, man. He got ranked.
Heck yeah.
And now he's fighting Erosa, who's like on the fringe of getting in the top 15, I think. I'm not looking at the rankings, but I mean, it's awesome. And then so to see him have this success later in his career, because I mean he got started in the UFC early, man. He was on Ultimate Fighter. Like, what season was that? It was a long time ago. And I think, was it GSP versus Koscheck? Was that season?
Oh, I have no idea, man. It's been so long.
I feel like he was on Team GSP, which obviously in that situation, could you imagine getting picked by Koscheck? You'd be like, shit. but yeah, seeing him put it together is really cool. So I was really looking forward to this fight, and it delivered.
Dude, and Bruce Leroy is another one of those guys that kind of has that karate stance, the wide leg stance that we were talking about, right? And he does such a good job right off the bat managing the distance. He mixes in his leg kicks really, really well.
He gets in and out really well.
Yeah, he does. And between the changing his stance repeatedly, and then mixing his strikes, like this is an overhand right, because there was a couple straights that didn't get through. Oh yeah, sorry, left. But he hit him with an overhand right a couple times too.
Yeah,
and
he threw
so
it
like
funky too. And I was like,
yeah, he did. Yeah, it was like really, really overhand. Like really.
Well, you know why? Because
explain.
So he throws it wild like that, or wide like that, I should say, because it can either get over the guard of Erosa, or if Erosa doesn't want to just block it, if he wants to slip it, he misses, overextends, and it turns his hips for him. So now his hips are turned, and all he has to do is flick the leg up. And it was beautiful.
We saw.
It was beautiful. It reminded me of, speaking of GSP, it reminded me of what Carlos Condit caught him with, where he swings and misses, ducks out of it, and then the leg just comes right up over the shoulder. This is a little bit different because Erosa's stance was not the same as GSP's in that situation, but I mean, it was just beautiful. It was so good.
Yeah, and I started thinking right away about like the Usman fight.
Yeah, very similar too.
We're similar, but where there was a jab that was kind of feinted and the kick comes up at the same time.
Yeah, Whitaker does a lot too.
Yeah, because like you said, Caceres goes all the way in, misses.
Yeah.
Essentially, his body's completely turned, raises his leg. And the fact that he was able to generate that much power in that position was super impressive, man.
Dude, it looked like, because he throws his knee up first, and then the rest of his leg, like his shin to ankle, shoots out. And that shoot out is what carries the momentum again. But just like, I mean, if he threw that high kick, Dominic Cruz was talking about how the left high kick was there. But if you just throw it from your rear leg position, that travel time, I mean, it's not like, I mean, there's very few guys who could throw a rear leg roundhouse and have it not be telegraphed, or at least see it coming, right? Like Edson Barboza is probably like one of the few guys that can throw it quick enough, because you'll see the hips turn and it's like, okay, cool, the kick's coming. But because he was able to throw that left and throw it through and follow through with it to turn his hips, it looked like he was just going to end up in the orthodox stance and probably retreat. But instead, because they were so close, I mean, instead he just throws that leg up. It was so beautiful. He just flicked it. And it's the shots you don't see coming, right? Kind of like Wonder Boy versus Dan Stitchen. Did you ever see that? I think it was Wonder Boy's debut.
I did not.
Where it's a little different because he throws it's like a 2-punch combo to close the distance, and then he throws the leg up over the shoulder. But it's because the punch sets up the kick. There's some guys, they'll say, like, you got to set that up with punches. And sometimes that's to get the guy to either retreat to get into kicking range, or just to shell up so they're stationary so you can throw the kick, or just so that like they don't see it coming, right? But there's another way to set up the kick with punches, and that's this, where you literally get into position to kick from the punch, and you just flick it up like that. It was so beautiful. And Herb Dean, I think it was Herb Dean, right, in this one? Fantastic stoppage.
Let me see here.
I think it was Herb Dean. Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was Herb Dean.
Yeah.
My guy. Rich coming through.
Rich the not so casual.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, ooh, maybe not. Maybe Erosa was still there. But then the aftermath was kind of scary, honestly.
Yeah, and props to Caceres because he was extremely accurate with the very first shot that landed, the very first shot that he threw, I should say, that landed. And after that, it was over because he wasn't completely out, but you could see like he just wasn't able to intelligently defend himself anymore.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah, really good stoppage. Really good stoppage, too.
And you see at the end, he's trying to get up, and they're like, no, don't get up. Don't get. He's like, no, I'm fine. And he drops to a knee, and then gets back up, and it's like, ooh. He's walking over his corner, drops to a knee again. And it's like, dude, just please sit down. Just sit down, please.
Just chill for a little bit.
Because Erosa, I really like Erosa, man. I don't want to see him in a situation like that. But, I mean, Bruce Leroy, just what a beautiful performance. It was so good. And then his interview at the end was just amazing. That quote he had about courage and doing the right thing, or courage and honor. So it's hard to have courage all the time. So as long as you're honorable, at least you're doing the right thing. I was like, damn.
I know, man. He was so deep. What was it that he said specifically when he was like, I just discovered that or something like that. And he's like, when today? And he goes, every day.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Awesome. I love him, man. I think he's so good for the sport,
awesome.
dude. Yeah,
for sure.
I'm glad he's getting the success that he's getting lately.
And story of the fight alone, so
yeah. I mean, what a cool. If you go back on our channel, go to the playlist, check out the Bruce Leroy interview because he tells a story about him doing the street fights before becoming a professional fighter, where he's doing the Data 5000 backyard fights in Miami and against Chocolate and there are people waving money around him and stuff. And, yeah, amazing. And
that's how he got started. Think about it. And now landing head kicks on Julian Erosa.
I mean,
in the UFC.
And he just opened up his own gym. So shout out that. Just a cool guy. I'm glad he's getting the success that he's had. I mean, he seems like a guy who, even after losses, you watch his interviews and stuff, he seems pretty content. Like he doesn't really put too much on the results of the fight. If he loses, he loses. He seems like he's in a good place even after losses, but I still like to see him have the success. You know what I mean?
And so honest too, man, where he's like, you seem so calm in there,
Yeah.
And he's like, I was scared.
Yeah.
I was just like, I fucking love this guy, man.
And remember he he told us too, he was like, sometimes you fight a guy who they're putting so much into their punches that it scares you because you're like, because he's getting so angry and he's throwing his punches, is he going to hit harder than me? And you start questioning yourself and should I be doing that? But no, you got to stay composed because there was no anger involved with that kick. It was just pure technique, beautiful. Yeah, I mean, just a cool guy, really cool guy.
Love it. Love to see it, man.
Yeah.
Just a gem of a human being.
Yeah, seriously.
We'll move on to the next one here. This was a banger, man.
Beautiful.
We had Drew Dober versus Bobby Green. We love both these guys too. Dude, this was a tough card actually because again, Juicy J versus Bruce Leroy. We love both those guys. Drew Dober versus Bobby Green. We love both those guys.
Semelsberger versus Matthews. I'm like, damn it. What's happening? Because no matter what, you see a guy you lose. It's that sucks. But all you can hope for is a good fight at that point. You're like,
and this fight was a good fight.
So good. So good. Drew Dober, I don't think, when's the last time Drew Dober was in a boring fight? Has he ever been?
I can't think of one.
The guy is just, I can't think of one. So good.
So, dude, in Green, because every single time you see him come out with his hands low, his shoulders a little forward.
Ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go. And every single time you get a little nervous because you're like, God, man, just everything that you've learned from watching mixed martial arts for so long, that's the worst way that you can come out defensively. But he makes it work, because he's so fast. He shoots from the hip.
His volume is insane.
The volume, the angle which his shots are coming at, it's tough for fighters to read them and to pick them up. And then his ability to kind of, have shots bounce off his shoulder, his ability to roll with punches.
Slip punches. I mean, just So good. And
even Drew Dober said he's hard to hit.
I love the respect out of this fight. We'll talk about that too. But and in the Cannonier versus Strickland fight, I was kind of like, this is similar to the Dober Green fight, even though it's not like Strickland slips punches the same as Bobby, but you're never gonna land like the first couple shots. Like you just have to keep punching. Like same with Weidman versus Silva. Remember when he knocked him out? It's because you cannot slip a 10-punch combo. Like one of those will find the home. You just no one can slip like that. Yeah, you just have to keep throwing. And that first round was like textbook Bobby Green. I mean, he just, like you said, firing from the hip, the jab, amazing. He slips into another stance and throws the jab from the other side, and you're like, oh shit, what the hell? And then like he started countering a little bit more because Dober was starting to throw a little bit more wild towards the end of that round. The leg kicks from Dober worked really well. Just a barn burner of a first round. And then the second, and they're talking the whole time. Bobby Green's yelling shit at him, and Drew Dober's smiling the whole time. And I was like, damn, dude, like this is exactly what I would want out of this fight. This fight completely delivered what I was looking for, you know? And
for sure.
Yeah. Oh, shout out HLB Comer.
Hey.
Christmas times.
Ho, 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 boys. Love that. What an intro.
Yeah.
But hey, no, and Drew Dober, the thing with Drew Dober is that he's always willing to eat one shot to try to give you 2 or 3. And we've seen it before. His chin, he has to have one of the best chins in all of the UFC.
You mean like aesthetically?
Both.
Yeah.
The jawline's fantastic. Then his ability to take a punch. By the way, France just tied at 3-3. Holy smokes, in overtime. But dude, his ability to take a punch is just absolutely amazing. And the power, because you see fighters throw so much into their shots, and you're like, man, they're gonna gas out.
Yeah,
that's what you think right away. They're gonna gas out because they're just putting every single thing into every single punch. But Drew Dober, I don't know if he'll ever gas out when he's throwing those shots. It's nuts, man.
Yeah, shout out HW Comer, Drew, who needs defense, Dober. Pretty much.
That is his defense. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that
he's
chin
like, you're going to try to throw a punch? I'm going to hurt your hand with this.
I mean, his head is
chin.
Massive. I mean, he's a dime piece. But Omar says, fight of the night. I love this fight, but sad for Green. I hope MMA media pretends that Green is washed so Patty can fight him and get his ass whooped.
Hey, shout out Omar. Thanks for joining us. Can you imagine? Dude, that would be the worst fight for Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah, I mean, he would just get countered all day. All day. He'd be throwing hard and Bobby Green would just slip and rib. And this was one of those fights where Bobby, like, he was slipping a lot of punches. And even in the finish, he slipped a few that I was like, whoo, he slipped this one. He ducks out.
Yeah.
Shoulder rolls the next one. Comes back to slip another one. And then as he comes up to counter, the left hook was there. And I just don't think he expected Dober to just keep throwing in that position. I think he thought he was done. And he's like, cool, my turn. And then it was a big shot, and he was out. And he didn't really protest the stoppage. He seemed like he was in a good position, like good place too. Following Bobby Green's career, I think he's had some issues. Yeah,
it's like the ref's telling him what happened. He goes, "What?" Like he's like,
"Damn."
Yeah. So, he seems like such a cool guy too, man.
Yeah, and then he just and I know he's dealt with like some like depression stuff and things like that, and like it was cool to see him. I'm sure it's different when you go home at night and your head hurts and stuff like that, but immediately after, he goes up to Drew Dober and they're laughing with each other, like hugging and like telling each other stuff. Like it was just so cool to see, because like sometimes there's some animosity in Bobby Green fights, but you could tell the respect between the two was just like super, super high. And Dober in his post-fight interview, he's like, yeah, props to him for even taking this fight. Like, nobody wants to fight me, and like these are the types of people I want to fight. And like, yeah, like he gave him credit. Like, he's super hard to hit, and he's talking, he's getting emotion out of me that I was like, don't do that. Like, don't get mad. Like, just stay calm. Like, and it was just cool to see him get the credit, because like I think Bobby Green is one of those guys that throughout his career hasn't gotten the credit that he's deserved. So it's cool to see him get it like that in a fight like this where he lost, but he still gets a ton of credit in this one. What a fun fight.
Heck yeah. No, but when they're chatting back and forth, and I don't know. I get the feeling that Bobby Green's like, man, you got me, you know? And Judo was like, dude, you're so hard to hit. Like, you see his face like going back and forth, like almost excited about the
to talk about
the
what just
fight
happened.
that they just had. Yeah. Dude, absolutely love it, man. But hopefully we get to see Bobby Green. You know, I was gonna say like to see him back soon, but I almost want him to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah,
I almost want him to take a little bit of a break. He tends to be a really active fighter, and might just be a good time to take a few months off and just.
I think
recoup,
he. I think this was the last fight on his contract, and I know he's had some issues with the UFC in the past, and he's talked about going to Bellator potentially. So I hope that doesn't happen. I do hope he stays in the UFC because he's a very fun guy to have in the division. And Dober, the savage that he is, calls out Jalen Turner.
Yeah, I like that.
One of the worst stylistic matchups for him.
He's like, I like the challenges, or I like the what do you say that would present, or something like that. But
yeah, something like that. He's like 6'3", has a ton of range. Like I like that challenge. Like
no, I think he said I like the problems that would give me, or something like that. But I was like, dude, this guy, man. Drew Dober. Hey, let's next card. Let's put it back on the next card. Just not wait. Just every card. Let's just give a Drew Dober fight.
I mean, he's got it. I'm sure the UFC is so happy with him on the roster.
Oh, they have to be.
they got to be like, this guy is just pure entertainment. Yeah, can't say enough good things about Dober. Look at the last few guys he's fought too. It's like, damn, man, this guy's gone through the wood chipper, and he's come out on top for most of them. He's very good.
Was it against McKinney when he
got hurt,
got rocked, and you're like, oh man, no, Drew Dober, like that chin was really tested, and then he's like, oh wait, I'm Drew Dober. What am I doing?
I don't get knocked out. Has he ever been knocked out? I can't remember if he's ever been knocked out. He lost the decision against Brad Riddell, razor close. He got choked out by Islam, armbarred by Benil, choked out by Mercier, choked out.
Doesn't look like he's ever been knocked out.
Yeah, I don't think he has.
Holy smokes, man.
Never.
He's broken hands with that chin, though.
Yeah. Tells you how hard that Terrence McKinney hits, though.
For sure. That was close.
Omar says Dober can only land body shots against Slenderman. Yeah, that's a fight where he's going to have to get in close and just rip to the body against Jalen Turner. I hope they make that fight. Jalen Turner kind of deserves a fight up, honestly, but I want to see that matchup.
Who doesn't?
That's a fun matchup.
All right, man. We'll move on to we had Oleksiejczuk versus Brundage.
That's my boy. I don't know why, but I love Oleksiejczuk. I get so excited every time he's on the card. And I was like, man, Brundage is kind of a terrible matchup for him, but I'm going to go with my boy on this one because Oleksiejczuk wants to be an avalanche. Like, he doesn't get tired. He wants to keep coming forward, get you up against the fence, and just land shots on you until you just wilt to it. He's got that cardio body, right, where he's not jacked, but you could tell he could go probably for like 10 rounds. But against a guy like Brundage, who has such a good wrestling pedigree, you don't really want to walk into him because he'll get a reactive takedown on you probably. And then that happened, and I was like, shit, this is exactly what I didn't want. And then in the back take, he decides to switch to try to mount Oleksiejczuk. And Oleksiejczuk was like, never mind. You're not going to do that. And just turns him over and then just beats the brakes off of him.
And that's the thing, man, because with Brundage, you mentioned his wrestling, right? And he's used to being the one that is pressuring, being on top, landing ground and pound, trying to get a transition, for better positioning. He's used to be the one that's just laying that pressure. Yeah. And it seemed like he was extremely uncomfortable off his back. Yeah. His defense off his back was not very good. Oleksiejczuk was just throwing some nasty elbows, nasty hammer fists. And I knew it was going to be a problem. I knew it was going to be a problem.
Once Oleksiejczuk got on top?
No, when he walked up to the face-off with his hat backwards like that, I was like, oh, dude, that is not good. This is not going to go well for Brundage. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
There it is.
There it is. See? And I just saw that, and I was like, okay, Oleksiejczuk, all the money. Yeah. Bet in the house on Oleksiejczuk.
The house on Oleksiejczuk. I love Oleksiejczuk, man. What a fun fighter.
Yeah. Fun fighter, man. Not much to say on that fight, though. That was rather quick.
Yep. I mean, he walked him down, got taken down, gave up his back, swept him in the transition,
for the sake of time, man,
knocked him out. Or 45
for the sake of time, we're going to skip McKenna versus Vlismas. And we'll go Semelsberger versus
Shout out McKenna, though.
Yeah. Team Alpha Male.
Team Alpha Male. I believe she's the only active UFC fighter out of Wales and maybe the only in history. So pretty cool.
Shout out Wales.
Shout out
all
Wales.
of our listeners in Wales.
I got no ties, but it's cool to see when there's only one person from like a country. It's cool.
It is. Semelsberger, not the only fighter out of his country,
No,
versus Jake Matthews.
Not the only fighter out of his country. This was one of those and I don't think sleepers. This was one of the fights that I was looking forward to the most on this card because Matthews in that last fight that he had, he was like flow state the whole way. But then I was talking to somebody on Reddit and I was like, this fight is so cool because Semelsberger has a right hand that is a straight up piston. And if Matthews can get around that, he'll be able to style on him because Semelsberger, that's kind of all he's got, but it's really good. So if he can get around that like he did in his last fight and just counter off that right hand, he's going to style on Semelsberger. Or Semelsberger is going to find a home for that piston of a right hand, and he's going to knock Matthews out. And neither happened, but it was close. Close to happening.
And that first round was a really slow start. You know, it's like they were both trying to measure each other out. And the right hand, what did he say there? Matthews catfished me.
His last fight was insane. Yeah, but you saw shades of that after that first round. In the second round, before he got dropped, because he got dropped again in the second, right?
Well, dude, after the first right hand that landed where Matthews got dropped, it seemed like Matthews had a really hard time getting his feet under him the rest of the fight. And I'm not saying he was walking around on wobbly legs or anything like that, but after that, it seemed like anything else that would touch him. Yes, anything else that would touch him afterwards would really affect him. I've seen Matthews take pretty big shots before in other fights, but
Semelsberger, man, I mean, that right hand, he throws it so well, and that was one of the things that was like, man, this fight, going into a fight, if they put you up against Semelsberger, that's like what you need to train for. Have someone who throws a piston of a right hand and just work on defense on that. Yeah,
punch him so hard, it looks like Matthews is looking out into the to the audience trying to find somebody, you know.
Punched him so hard it made it look like he slipped it.
Yeah, no, that landed for sure.
That landed for sure.
Was not rolling with that punch.
No. He rolled him with that punch. 3 knockdowns for Semelsberger. Knocked him down in every round. Wow. But honestly, in that second round, I thought outside of the knockdown at the end, I thought that was a very good round for Matthews. But then he got dropped. He got caught. And that was a bad one, too. He was circling away and got hit with that right hand again. Semelsberger, you just got to watch that right hand. He hits like a fucking truck. There's a reason they call him Semi. And it's partly because his name is Semelsberger, but also because he hits like a truck.
It's like a truck. Good call, man. What a play on words with that, you know?
Great job. Great nickname. Do you get it tattooed on your arm? I don't know if that's the best call. Yeah. HW Comer Matthews looked terrible compared to his last fight. I don't know what happened. Yeah, it was kind of weird because, like, who am I to know that Semelsberger's only got that right hand and he throws it the same way every time? I really did expect Matthews to style on him in this fight. I expected him to counter off that right hand constantly because he just that's what he's got. That's just all Semelsberger's got.
I picked Matthews.
Same.
I picked Matthews.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by how that first round went. It seemed like he wasn't ready for that right hand, and it's like that's all you have to be ready for. No disrespect to Semelsberger, but that's what he's got.
All right, man. Next one.
Yeah.
We will go Nurmagomedov versus Kakhramonov.
Yeah, what a matchup, man. Anytime you get an Oz.
This was a fun fight, man.
Yeah.
Omar and you got 2 on this one.
Yeah, real quick. Omar says, I think we were overhyping him coming into this. Shouldn't had doubt a guy named Semi-Burgers. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Everybody knows that's a fighter's last name.
Yeah. But yeah, so this was interesting because this is kind of, at least in the UFC, Nurmagomedov has not had to face a pressure grappler. And because his style is very different than everybody else that has his last name, because he throws a lot of like hook kicks and
that's from Dagestan.
Lead leg side kicks, like lots of stuff like that where he wants to be at distance, where everybody else wants to be attached to you. So it was interesting seeing him kind of get smothered a little bit, and he couldn't get his real weapons off. And I thought Kakhramonov did a really good job in the grappling department until he just kind of left his neck up. But it was interesting to see someone with that last name, Nurmagomedov, get out grappled. You know what I mean? I was like, this is crazy. Even though I know he's a different guy,
away,
but
in the very beginning, right? He threatens with the guillotine, I believe it was, right?
I think they both threatened with it.
Yeah, I mean, they both displayed really good wrestling. Nurmagomedov, even off his back, right? Like you said, somebody with that last name coming from Dagestan, you know that he knows what he's doing there. It's not like he's lost on the ground or in the clinch or anything like that. But with this choke right here, the way that he finished it off, I thought it was beautiful, right? Because you have Kakhramonov coming in, gets a single leg, and like Nurmagomedov puts his arm over his head, right? And then like leans off to the side, almost like he's almost going to fall off that single leg, and then turns right back around, and he used that.
Hooks it.
To hook it and to get it in deeper than if he would have just gone for it right away. So it's almost like Kakhramonov was like, okay, here we go. He's leaning over. I might get this takedown. And then he just buried his head in a little bit more, and then he just sunk it in right after that. I thought it was a beautiful setup by Nurmagomedov. It was so impressive.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so funny. But yeah, man, it was a great fight, fun fight. And Nurmagomedov, was he ranked going into this? I can't remember.
I don't think he is ranked. He's a bantamweight.
I'm looking right now.
He is. He was 15.
Huh.
Who did they just remove from the rankings?
I don't know. They removed somebody because everybody went up. Yeah.
Was it Edgar? Maybe it was Edgar.
Maybe.
I think Frankie was still ranked, but by his last fight,
RIP.
they just removed him.
RIP.
Yeah.
All right. Want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, that was a quick one.
We had Maheshate versus Rafa García. Man, this fight was pretty disgusting. So for anybody that gets Weemish,
pretty disgusting.
Anybody that gets Weemish, seeing blood, just a heads up. There's some bloody pictures that are going to be shown here. But let's go and talk about the fight here. So Rafa García and Maheshate. First of all, Maheshate missing weight. Already,
that's why I picked him.
Super tall. Already super tall, and it's.
That's why I picked him.
Comes in missing weight, and it looks like they're like old school UFC, two different weight classes fighting each other. Because Maheshate looked massive. Absolutely,
he did.
Absolutely massive.
Yeah, and I picked him in this fight because I was like, okay, he's already a massive guy for the weight class. Rafa's kind of like a shorter guy. Maheshate usually uses his range really, really well, and he missed weight. So I'm like, okay, the guy who uses his size advantage well missed weight, he's probably going to take this. And instead, I probably should have just listened to like the stylistic matchup because it was weird because was it the first round that he cut him?
Omar says, just plead God's demanded the end of your donation.
Yeah, and they got it.
Oh my God, look at this.
I mean, it was insane, dude. It was insane. So I think, was it the first round that he cut him in?
I believe so.
So it was a beautiful exchange, and it was kind of funny because I thought the exchange was over, and Sam was walking back from the kitchen, and I rewound it because I was like, dude, you got to check out this exchange. And it was before the last elbow because he comes in, he frames on him, drops the elbow over him. It was a nasty elbow, takes a step back. As they come back, he throws the front kick. It lands flush right on the chin, and then he takes a step back, comes back in, lands the elbow again, and that's what cuts him. And it lands, it cuts him. They kind of separate for a little bit, and it's just all of a sudden it's
like squirting, special effects.
It was crazy. It was insane. And then 5 seconds later, his whole torso is covered in blood, and he's just walking him down. And I was like, "Holy shit, this is crazy!"
It was nuts. Look, when they showed the slow motion replay from the angle where Rafa García, the recording from Rafa Garcia's back, and you can literally see the squirting. Like I said, like special effects in movies.
Yeah, and it was crazy because he lands the elbow, it hits him on the side, right? And it knocks him this way. And then as he comes back up, and when his head stops moving up, it literally shoots out. It's like, holy shit, dude. It was crazy.
So disgusting.
And Rafa García just did not care. He just walked him down. That was crazy, too, at the end of the second round. It was like Robbie Lawler versus Roy McDonald. End of the second round,
Mark Smith's like, whoa, guys.
He's like, whoa, you guys are gonna fight in like a minute. Just wait. But yeah, stylistically, Rafa just put it together on this fight. He looked really, really good outside of that cut. And it was weird because Maheshate, after he landed that elbow, it seemed like he just wanted to keep landing elbows. He kept coming in with that up elbow. He kept trying to frame and throw this one. And it's like, dude, use your range. Like, that was a good shot, but like, that's not what's going to put him out. And like, just stop fighting in his range. Start fighting in your range. He just kept going to the elbows. It was really weird. He kept throwing that knee, that step-in knee, which was really good. But Rafa's a tank, so he would just eat it and take him down off of it. I thought it was a really cool fight. It was a really fun fight.
Yeah, and Rafa, for the size disadvantage, did a really good job of mixing his entry in and how he was entering, which I think is like when Maheshate finally was successful on Rafa Garcia's entry, that he was like, oh, the elbow got him. And so like that was my best read so far. So I'll just keep on going back to the well, you know?
Yeah. Rafa was like, oh, he got me with an elbow. Got to watch that. And never got hit with it again.
Yeah. So funny.
He just
adjustments made and stopped.
Yeah, exactly. He made one adjustment and stuck with that. And that's all. No disrespect, but that's what we talk about, right? Who can make not just one adjustment? Because a lot of fighters, if you're in the UFC, you're at that level, you can make an adjustment mid-fight. But the truly great ones are what separate, or the thing that separates the pack usually is people who can make multiple adjustments, because Rafa can make adjustments. And he did to the elbow. But can you now make an adjustment to counter that? And he could not. He just couldn't.
Yep. By the way, Argentina just won the World Cup. Fantastic. Shout out to all of our listeners in Argentina.
Yeah. But yeah, Rafa Garcia, that elbow cut an artery in his head. They said after the fact.
Said it took some hours, right, to get it back under control.
Medical staff almost 2 hours to stop the bleeding, and that's on top of everything he lost in the fight, blood wise. And then after the fight, there was some trash talk too. I think Rafa Garcia was probably pissed that he missed weight.
Yeah. But after they raised his hand, he went over to Maheshate as Maheshate was exiting the octagon, and shook his hand, gave him a little hug, and then was like, "All right, get out of here."
Yeah, he's like, "All right, dude,
my time to shine. Go make weight." All right, man. I think we're gonna cover 2 more fights, right?
I think so.
All right, these should be pretty quick. Let me see here. We had was it Bryan Battle? Yeah, Bryan Battle.
Bryan Battle
versus
Go for it.
Fakhretdinov.
Go for it.
Fakhretdinov. Yes.
Oh, Rinat. Yeah, Rinat. Yeah. So Rinat came into this fight with a pretty big win streak. I mean, he hasn't lost since 2014. This was his second UFC fight. And they talked about it, right? Props to Bryan Battle for taking this fight, because stylistically it's a nightmare. And I think he wanted to prove his jiu-jitsu, and he looked good off his back, but
the first round.
Yeah, after that it was just all Rinat. Rinat is he's very talented. That's someone to keep an eye on moving forward, I think.
Fakhretdinov.
Yeah, Rinat.
I'm just trying to. I'm like still reading the last name, like just sounding it out in my head. But for anybody that didn't watch this fight, Rich, our producer, is about to put 2 pictures up right now that tells you exactly what happened the entire fight. So Fakhretdinov with the takedowns.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple times Bryan Battle was able to stand up. And Fakhretdinov, he was just so worried about the takedown.
Yeah.
That he was lowering his hands too much with any movement, and he was leaving himself open. And he was able to land some of those shots as well. Rinat was.
Drops him right. Dropped him in the third, was it?
I believe it was the third, and that was pretty much the entire fight right there.
Yeah, cut him open with an elbow that immediately started bleeding. The doctors did a good job, or the cutman did a good job stopping the bleeding, because it never really was a problem moving forward after the round ended. But yeah, Rinat just adds to the list. It's crazy how wrestler heavy welterweight is.
And that's what they were talking about too. They're like, hey, this is something that's good for Bryan Battle. He'll go back to the drawing board. He'll work on his takedown defense, because as he continues moving up in this weight class, there's so many wrestlers, so many like just hardcore grapplers. He's going to need to get this figured out if he wants to be able to move up in the division.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the top 15, it's like Kamaru Usman, okay, yeah, amazing wrestler. Colby Covington, amazing wrestler. Hamzat Himaev, amazing wrestler. Bilal Muhammad, pretty good blanket. Gilbert Burns, fantastic grappler. Sean Brady's great grappler. Rakhmonov, insane. Neil Magny's great grappler. Chiesa's a good grappler. Like, it's
Jorge
crazy.
Masvidal. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's tough for old Wonder Boy in that division. Probably the worst division that Wonder Boy could be in.
For real. True. Very true.
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll move on to the next and the last fight we're going to be covering. It's your boy, Manel Kape versus David Dvořák. You've been singing his praises for over a year.
Let's just get him higher level fights. I mean, like, David Dvořák, honestly, I think is very talented, but
he's very good.
Rankings wise, Manel got dropped too far, I think, unjustifiably when he lost that split decision that everybody else thought he won. They dropped him to like 15, and I was like, whoa, this guy's really good. I mean, his vision is just insane, man. Like, he can just see shots coming. He's very well, like, he stays calm in his range. He knows when he's in range, and he knows like where he is. Like, he knows when he's threatened, right? He's very aware, and when he decides to go, I mean, he is so fast. He's so explosive. He just gets in, gets out. I mean, I don't think the judges gave him a 10-8 round in this one. Not one judge gave him a 10-8 round in that second. How does that happen?
Yep.
How does that happen? I mean, he
dropped him off that body shot too.
Yeah, he did. He dropped him off a headshot too. And then
I thought he slipped at first.
Yeah.
So they showed the replay, and after he hits him with that liver shot, and he comes back up, you see him grab his side and fall off to the side.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that hurt. Yeah.
That's a bad one. And at the end of the first there, he's in his guard. Manel's in his guard, or Dvořák is in Manel's guard. And he sets up that Kimura. And I was like, sometimes they call it the strongman submission, right? Usually you have to like snatch it and get it and torque it right away, because it's really hard to muscle a Kimura on somebody. But then, so he's setting it up, and all of a sudden you see in like the small gap between them, you see that knee come in and go. He gets the knee shield, and he starts pushing away with the knee shield, and he gets the separation, and then that's what allows him to clear the hand from his body and start twisting it. Comes up over the top, ends up on top. He's a little too high, a little too forward, sits back, torques it. I mean, if that round didn't end, he would have taken that arm. That was so nasty. And I was thinking about, like,
tight, man.
If I was Dvořák and I truly was okay, if my shoulder wasn't fucked after that, and the ref brings the doctor in to check his shoulder, I'd be like, guys, you just lost me this round. I was fighting a pretty good round up until the end there. The fact that you just brought doctors to check on me for a submission that ended the round, I just lost that round. You guys fucked me. And then Manel was like, well, don't worry, because I'm about to beat the brakes off you for the rest of this round too.
Yeah, it was a fantastic second round from Manel Kape. I put down 10 more seconds in that first round. It would have been over. Dude, he would have snapped that arm.
That was so. I thought it was about to snap. It was the way his shoulder blade was sticking out. I was like, this is not good. And then the bell rang, and I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
You know, in the times that I've been caught in a Kimura, which has been pretty often, I will say, like, after holding on for dear life, and when it's tight, even if you're still holding on to your shorts, the gi, whatever it may be, like, you come out of that and you're like, man, my arm feels a little dead.
Yeah, it tweaks the shoulder bad. Yeah,
it does. So for him to still be able to come out the next couple rounds, prop to Dvořák.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was really deep, man. That was one that, like, in training, he would have tapped like 4 seconds earlier.
Yeah. Hey, you got me, bro.
Yeah, cool. Great job. That was a cool setup. The way you got the knee. I mean, it was really cool. The way he got the knee shield in. I was like, he's not gonna get this. There's no way he clears the hand. And then I saw the knee sneak in, and I was like, oh. And then he starts pushing away with it, and I was like, oh. And it was so cool, man. Because it's not like when you go into a Manel Kape fight, you don't expect submissions off his back. That's not what I was expecting in this fight. Yeah. You know what I mean? He had a very active guard. He set it up really well. I think he loses. People are so hard on him because just in time, Andrew Tosi's here to talk about the Portuguese. But people are so hard on him, I think, because he went directly into the top 5 when he came over to the UFC. So everybody expects like greatness from him. And anytime he doesn't get like a finish or he does something, it's like people hold him to such scrutiny. It's really weird. So many people were shit talking him because of the showboating he did in the third round. And he's like, that's going to bite him in the ass. And people were like, that it already has, but like bitten him in the ass. And it's like, dude, the guy styled on him. What do you want? What do you want?
Did a couple crossovers.
He's doing the dribbling and then fucking hits him with the 1-2 and then backs out. The Dvořák threw that spinning kick and he smothered it and then takes a step back and he like looks back like, were you throwing it over there? Because I was over here. Like, so sick. Yeah, Omar says Cap deserves a top 5. He definitely does. But that top 5 is mixed up right now.
Give him a Kai Kara France. Is he booked for anything?
Yeah, Kai Kara France is fighting Alex Perez.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
T.S. Nicolau, Brandon Royval, we were just talking about earlier.
Matt Schnell coming off a loss. Matt Schnell's 7. Manel Kape is 12. That's the jump that I think it makes sense because everybody above Schnell is basically taken.
Why you gotta do that to Matt Schnell, man?
Hey man, he can put up a fight, man. Matt Schnell is tough as hell, man. I'll never discount him again. Never.
After that one against God, who was it again?
Sumadarji. I will never discredit that guy again.
That's right. What a fight!
Do I think he beats Manel Kape? Probably not. But I will never say it's like a done deal. You know, the guy is tough as nails.
Put some respect on that name, Will.
I mean, that's comeback of the year.
Oh, easy.
Omar, Matt gotta lose.
All right. I think that's it for the fights.
Yeah, Sergey Morozov beat Journey Newsom, and it was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. So we're not going to talk about that.
All we have left now is just our administrative stuffs, right? So are you going to cover it? Is Rich going to cover it? Who's going to cover it now?
Let's go. Ready.
Let's go. Rich?
Or Rich. I think Rich said that it's loud in his house. Roommate is moving. So yeah, I'll do it.
All right.
Omar says, great show like always. Y'all got plans making any content for Bellator versus Ryzen? Bellator versus Ryzen. It's going to be so sick.
Hey, I'm down for that.
Oh,
I'm down.
Hell yeah. I fucking love it.
Sure.
Satoshi versus AJ McKee. Oh my God. How is that not the main event? Who gives a fuck about Pitbull? Satoshi versus AJ McKee that is
Toasty disappointed. Toasty disappointed that Rich the casual is not getting any FaceTime today.
Hey, he missed it. If he was here earlier, Rich was on. Rich dropped the knowledge. Herb Dean did ref Bruce Leroy versus Julian Erosa.
And then he was off. 3-second cameo.
Yeah, 3-second cameo. Toasty says, "Hello, now would be a good time to show the Photoshop pic. I have not done it because I have forgotten about it, but I will do it." Rich, there is a Photoshop coming of you. Maybe on the next show, it'll be shown.
Oh, I can't wait.
Awesome. But it would have been a perfect moment. But we'll find another moment once it's actually done. Cancel fights. Julian Marquez versus Darren Wynn. Darren Wynn withdrew. I know Darren Wynn's a Gilroy boy, but I'm not.
How much longer are we going to do this?
Yeah, I'm not that sad about that, to be honest.
How much longer are we going to do this?
Yeah, Tefon and Chikui was supposed to fight Pogues. Pogues withdrew. Solid heavyweight matchmaking there. Alex Perez was supposed to fight Amir Albazi because I don't know how the order of this, because Tapology doesn't necessarily do this like in order of like when it happened, but Perez was supposed to fight Albazi at one point. Perez withdrew. Now he's fighting Kai Kara France. Interesting. Brandon Royval was supposed to fight Albazi. He broke his wrist, so Albazi instead went to murder Costa. Bruno Silva was supposed to fight Duraev. Silva had to withdraw. That sucks because that's a very cool fight. Duraev was supposed to fight Oleksiejczuk, and instead he pulls out. He said, "Oh, Silva, I lost my fight. I'll take another fight." He's like, just kidding. So then Oleksiejczuk murdered Brundage. Michael Morales was supposed to fight Rinat. Probably a better fight.
Fakhretdinov.
Yeah, but it didn't happen. And then Petrino was going to fight Tafon, and then again, it's weird. That happens so many times where someone pulls out of a fight and they find a replacement matchup, and then the original fighter's like, also, I don't want to fight either. But yeah, he talks about Darren Wynn. It is kind of scary. Darren Wynn posted on his Instagram talking about it. The reason he had to pull out was because he passed out and fell downstairs. Pretty scary stuff. It's scary.
Yeah.
For everyone that says he should be fight, I don't know if it's weight cut related or what, but everyone's always like Darren Wynn should be fighting at welterweight. He's 5 feet tall, but I don't know what's going on over there. I know he had issues with amphetamines or something like that, and it sucks because he's a Gilroy guy.
Toasty said it best. Got to weight cut better.
Yeah,
gotta be smart about it.
It has to be weight cut related. But with Darren Wynn, you honestly never know.
You know who doesn't have a problem weight cutting? Andrew Toasty.
Yeah.
8 fights last year. Did you know that? Or this year? 8 fights. That's active.
2 belts.
That's being active.
This is me.
That's right. Yeah. All right, man. Well, the bonuses, monies.
Yeah. Let's see. Oleksiejczuk got a bonus for hitting that sweet sweep on Brundage and then knocking him out. Bruce Leroy got a performance bonus for that insane, beautiful setup kick against Julian Juicy J. Erosa. Shout out Julian's mom. I know she follows me on Instagram. Drew Dober versus Bobby Green. Both got it for the fight of the night. Makes sense.
You know, and I'm not going to sit here as Story of the Fight will and take full credit for this, but Caceres, Bruce Leroy, has looked a lot better since he's been on the show.
Hey, man. What
did
fight
we
did
inspire him? Maybe.
What fight did we have him on after?
I don't know. But I know that your boy went on a bit of a run there after hopping on the show.
Since he's been on, he's only lost once.
Wow. Just, hey, you're welcome.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's definitely not all the work he's been putting in.
No, seriously though, shout out Bruce Leroy, man.
Yeah.
Again, we've done some interviews, and for him to give us the time, to talk to us, that was awesome, man.
He's our intro.
You know? That's right. New mythical fighter. And Story of the Fight Bruce Leroy.
Yeah, Story of the Fight Bruce Leroy. As you know, it's funny. We had for a while it was Triple C, right? He would do our intro.
That's right.
But in all fairness, we paid him on Cameo for that. Bruce Leroy did that out of the kindness of his heart after we did an interview with him. So you gotta respect him. What a legend.
Gotta respect him. All right, man. Well, that's all I got. Do you have anything else?
No, that's gonna be it. I think the UFC's off until what? What's their next card?
January 14th, I believe. Around there.
How much time off?
I don't know. I honestly just picked a date.
Nice.
I like how you really took it seriously, though.
And you were right.
Really?
Gastelum versus Imavov. So we probably will cover Bellator versus Ryzen. I watch the Japanese New Year's cards every time they do it.
Bellator versus Ryzen. We gotta do recap of our fight picks or champion picks.
Oh yeah.
For 2022.
It's gonna be
very rough. But we're gonna find out which one of our
listeners, not as good as last year.
Which one of our listeners that also submitted their picks wins the smaller Story of the Fight belt.
Yeah, so if we're looking at the calendar, this next Sunday is the New Year's card, and then the weekend after that, there's no fights that we're going to cover. So maybe we do it. We do it then.
Triple C pulled a patty and asked for payment. Shake my head, right?
Yeah, just ridiculous.
All right, but hey.
So is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay.
Shout out Omar. Shout out HOB Comer.
Shout out Tony.
Shout out. Oh, Tony's on as well. Look at that, dude.
Hey, congratulations, Tony. I'm not gonna dive deep into that because I don't know what's public and what's not. But congratulations.
Wait, time out.
And
you can't just say congratulations.
And thank you, Toasty, for joining. And thank you, Omar and HOB Comer. Thank you, Rick.
I like how you changed. You're like, let's just change the subject real quick.
But is that what we're gonna do? So next weekend will be the Ryzen card, and then the weekend after that, there's no fights. So that you want to do our year recap that week?
Yeah.
I'm
super down. And Tony coming through. So since he put it on, maybe he's putting it for everybody to hear. United States just got engaged. So congratulations, Tony. Don't forget, I can do weddings as well. Yeah, your boys want to fly in, and yeah. That'd be awesome.
Ramiro, I'll just do the review right now. Ramiro, came into California, officiated the wedding, knocked it out of the park. consummate professional.
What can I say, man? And your boy studied like the entire thing I was going to read for days.
Really?
On the flight in, over when I stayed at the hotel, the entire time, dude, I was just reading over my lines over and over again because I knew this was a special day for my boy Will and Kate and my girl Katie. And I know, Tony, you get me, and I know it's a special day for you and Hinata as well. So just let me know. Weddings with the boys, he says. Absolutely. Love it. All right, but if this is your first time listening to the podcast, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you don't like watching, but you like listening, Spotify, Breaker, Podcast, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, pretty much anywhere podcasts are found, or you might like to interact through social media.
Yeah, it's at Story of the Fight on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, everywhere, Twitch. And if you're like, I don't know how to get to these platforms, you just go storyofthefight.com. It lists it all. Yeah, we're on everything but Facebook. But you know why? Fuck Facebook.
Dang, dude. Whoa. What did Facebook do to you?
Hey, I'll say this right now. Mark Zuckerberg, lose my number.
Lose my number? No. 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 All right. Before we lose any more non-sponsors, we can go and end it there. But just so everybody knows, before we log off, this show right here produced by Richard Bustos. No sound. Rich just dropped the mic. No sound effects.
He hit the drums.